I wanted to be able to run PDRA if I wanted, if something happened where we could run it. Like I said, my buddies want to build a new Outlaw 632 car, and I've been helping him out quite a bit. So it would be cool to have both cars at one of those big events and go have some
fun. Yeah. So now, so far in your drag racing career, Brandon, what milestones have you reached?
Well, 200 was one of my early ones. I said I want to go 650 and I want to go 200, and we did that 3 or 4 years ago. And then, of course, you make new milestones after that. I wanted to go 220, and I think we've only been 212. I think was the quickest, and then of course I wanted to go 630s this year, and that didn't happen because we were just struggling like crazy. But I mean, for the most part, my milestones are set every weekend, and my goal is to go out to the track and put on a good show and have fun and go rounds. And that's always my goal. When we go to the track, we don't. I've raced with some people, and they're just like, yeah, we're just going out to have fun. We're just going out there to get a good parking spot. We'll take the car out and we'll enter just so we can be close to the action, And I don't do that. I go out there to win races and win rounds, understanding that we're not the best funded team out there, and we're not going to be we're not as probable to go to the finals in a $40,000 pro mod race. But my goal and my plan when we leave the house is to do that. It's like it'd be nice to win $40,000. Well, it'd be really nice, and that's not just it's not just saying it. That's the goal. We're going down there to win this money. So, of course, you got to be real about it. At the same time, if you don't achieve your goals, all you do is go back to the drawing board and try to figure out what you can do to help make yourself better the next time you come out.
Yeah. So with the new blower, when will the car be ready?
Well, we're really. It's all a big money game right now. We're trying to put the right parts together and try to put things together as we need them. But I want to make sure that what the parts we buy are the right parts. And again, the expensive stuff is the supercharger and the engine. We've got both of those covered now. So we need an intake manifold and an ignition system and oil system, fuel cell, just that kind of stuff. It's still expensive stuff, but it's not like having to buy a motor or a blower. So now that we've got the two big chunks out of the way, we can start nibbling away at the little things and start putting it together. And one of the big things I've always said to my family and friends is that I will not let this racing stuff put me out of a house. I'm never going to let this stuff actually run my life to the point where I can't afford to pay my mortgage.
Right.
So, if it gets to the point where I say, hey, I don't have any more money to spend this month, then we'll just go out in the garage and tinker with what we got and wait till next month. So to answer your question, my goal is to have it done for April, but the realistic side of me says that that's probably not going to happen. It'll probably be more like June or July.
So how many events are you hoping to run this year?
Well, we'd like to hit probably 6 to 8, but there again, it all just depends on when we start. I was looking actually the other day, just starting to put a little bit of an agenda together. I always like to get all my crew guys as early notice as possible so they can try to get the stuff on their schedule. And again, with the junior, it's gonna, that stuff. The big events for the junior stuff can sometimes conflict with the pro mod stuff. So we need to figure out, what are we doing and when. So. And of course, all my crew guys are real involved with the junior stuff too. So it's kind of a big deal. If we're not going junior racing, we're going pro mod racing. If we're not going pro mod racing, we're going junior racing. So it's kind of cool.
Now, throughout your drag racing career, have you had any accidents or close calls?
I've probably crashed my car 3 times and I've never hit anything. Thank God. There's been a couple of instances. I think if we would have had a bag of charcoal, I could have stuck a piece up myself and all my crew people's asses, and we would have probably come home with a bunch of big ass diamonds. But I've never hit anything with my car yet. I took out a couple cones, which I guess everybody does that. But the closest I've ever come to actually wrecking was in my Camaro, my old back half car. I had a freeze plug pop out at 145, right at the quarter mile, the last quarter mile cone. It kicked a freeze plug out, and the car just kind of did a complete pirouette. It never left the lane, and it never hit the wall. And thank God I had my hand on the parachute handle and pulled the chute handle, and that was the only thing that really kind of straightened it out. That was the closest I've ever come to hitting anything. But so far, knock on wood, let me knock on this table here next to me.
Yeah.
I haven't hit anything drastic yet.
All right, now we've reached the fun question of the interview. Now, ready for some fun questions, Brandon?
Yeah.
Now, outside of drag racing, do you have any hobbies?
Oh yeah, I'm a drummer in a rock and roll band. And in fact, Steve, the guy that just moved back into town, is going to be crewing with me. He's a singer and guitar player.
What's the band's name?
So, well, we actually just got back together, and I don't know that we've renamed it. We used to be called Taylor Tucky because all of us in the whole band before he left out of town, we were all from Taylor, so we were Taylor Tucky. And anytime anybody would leave, it just seemed like the next person that would come in was from Taylor. So Taylor Tucky was a really fitting name for us. And we used to play all over the place, man. We had a great time with it. And it really filled in the void in the wintertime when we're not playing with the race car, and we're not racing, and we're sitting around with nothing to do. We would either be jamming in the basement or we'd be out at a bar somewhere playing. And it was a really good time. So we're just now starting to get rolling back into it. But
now you guys play originals or covers?
We used to play originals way back in the day. As things evolved, we started getting more and more into the let's just play covers because that's what people want to hear type of thing. And I think that's more where we're at now.
So
what we do is we will take a song, an original or a cover song, and we'll put our own spin to it, which we have a really lot of fun with. You know, we'll make it sound completely different, like a Careless Whisper covers George Michael type stuff, you know, and then we would kind of mix the two together. You know, Careless Whisper, I'm sure you know that song.
Yeah.
We played that one, and that was one of my favorites because we would play like the metal version of it, but our lead guitar player, our singer and rhythm guitar player at the time, was a phenomenal saxophone player. So he would jump on the saxophone and blast it like it was an electric guitar. It was just so fun and so different. So we still try to do that same thing.
All right. Now, if someone were to come up to you and give you $200 million and ask you to build a brand new drag race track, where would you even consider building a brand new drag race track, and what kind of features would you want to put into a new track?
Well, I'll tell you what, we need a track around the Michigan area that can handle big national events. You know, it's the one thing that we're kind of lacking. Milan's like I said, I have a great time at Milan. It's a really home feeling track. But if they were to try to have a night of fire like Milan does, they just can't handle the capacity. So I meant to say Norwalk. If they tried to have a night of fire like Norwalk's event, they just can't handle that many people and that many cars. So personally, what I would do is build something in this vicinity in the Detroit metro area, and it has to be big stands, big parking area. Everything's paved. You got to have electricity for even the sportsman teams. I mean, those guys come in, they spend a ton of money, and they spend all their money. And to come in and have to run a generator and listen to that thing rapping all weekend long when you can just hook up a 30 amp plug and just plug your motor home and run your air conditioners and everything all weekend. It's so nice to be able to do that. I've been blessed being in the pro mod ranks that normally where I get parked is around that stuff. But if you don't have that stuff, it's really kind of you kind of feel like you're camping in the woods as opposed to camping at the Ritz Carlton. So of course you got to have the big pits and the big bleachers and all that stuff, and obviously a phenomenal racing surface. I'm not a huge fan of the 4-wide tracks. I think 4 cars going down the track at the same time are a very, very distracting thing. I don't know that I've never done it driving wise, but I don't know that you could really concentrate on the other car and the other 2 cars in the other lanes as well as you need to. But I do like the idea of having 4 lanes for 2 different track preps, because I know running these big slick tire cars on a really tight track like you would run a radial tire. It's almost impossible if you go out there. You just can't get enough wheel speed out of the thing. So what ends up happening, like we saw down at Bradenton, is everybody just shakes the tires, and it's just no fun watching that. So if you can have 2 lanes prepped for radial and 2 lanes prepped for slicks, and just keep the classes separate, I think that's your best case scenario. And then just keep while you're running 2 lanes, you prep the other 2. It keeps a lot of downtime down and things like that. But then I think there's a huge aspect of racing that a lot of I don't know, a lot of tracks I've been to, they don't really think about the whole family aspect of it. And when I say that, I'm talking bathrooms. And you know, a lot of people don't have a $250,000 motorhome to go use the restroom in. And if you do, you know, if you got 12 people with you at the track, they can't all use that bathroom, or it'll be full in half an hour.
Right.
So, you know, not having the facilities and things like that, you know, you got to have nice showers and stuff like that for the people that don't have the accessibility to showers. You don't want to go to the racetrack and be a bum and stinking like a billy goat by Saturday night. You know, you want to be able to go take a shower and clean up and stuff like that. And then, of course, I think it would be really cool to have some form of covered pit area. You know, I don't know if you've seen any of the stuff like over in Qatar and Bahrain and the tracks they've got over in the Middle East. Those tracks, to me, if you look at their facilities, are just second to none. Of course, they need that because they get the sandstorms and stuff like that. But I mean, if you could have a pro mod event and everybody gets an enclosed pit area, you're going to have just about every pro mod in the country there, just because of the quality of the facility. So that's a few of the big things. And of course, it'd be cool to have a dirt track next door and some. I don't know if you guys have ever been down to Galat, but that track's really, really top notch. I mean, they've got a heated and cooled track. If it's really hot out, they can run cold water through it and cool it down. If it's cold out, they can run hot water through it. That's a huge advantage when you're running in inclement temperatures like we do up here. But the other side of that is, you know, having other tracks, other facilities. You can run monster trucks and you can run circle track vehicles and stuff like that, and use the same pit areas as you would for the drag strip. It's really, really cool being able to blend more sports into one facility.
Now, with the grandstand, would you want to do the covered grandstands, like, you know, keep sun out of the people from the fans?
You know, I think there's certain days that comes in handy, and I'll be honest with you, there's days I've sat at Norwalk without covering, and you just feel like an egg on a frying pan. You know, you're just miserable watching the racing. But there's also some days where it's, you know, 45, 50 degrees out where you want that sun. So it all depends on where you're at, and I think if there was some form, you know, if you had $200 million, you could probably come up with some really cool, innovative forms of covering, and be able to just come up with a retractable cover. You know, if it's crappy out, if it's going to start sprinkling, you roll the cover out. If it's going to be really super hot and sunny and miserable, roll the cover out. If it's cool and you want some sun where you might want a little bit extra heat, roll it back. So, I mean, that would be really cool. But of course, that's just cubic dollars at that point. You can't blame any track out there for not having that, because that's just huge, huge dollars.
Yeah. All right. Now, since you've been doing the pro mod racing, has there been a greatest competitor for you?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. One of my biggest rivals has always been the Skinny Kid team. Brian Robbins is a really, really great friend of mine, and he used to drive I don't know if you're familiar with those guys, but they've got the white Oldsmobile. And I've always had a really, really huge rivalry between me and Brian when they had the old car. And then Donnie Walsh started driving for him when they built a new car, and Tom Bailey. And it seems like everybody, Jimmy Dietrich's driving now, and Dave Hill drove it for a little bit. It seems like everybody that drives that car is a really, really close friend of mine. And it's always a really, really good time when I roll up in the staging lanes. Even though they can walk by me, they got a ton more power than I got. But it's always fun getting in the staging lanes and racing against those guys.
All right, now, how many trophies and plaques and stuff like that have you won throughout your career so far?
Well, I got 7 runner-ups with this car and 1 win, and then I've got 5 or 6 from Autorama, something like that, and a couple other little ones from just little minor car shows that we've done or whatever. But I really, the big one for me, probably one of my proudest trophies that I have in there, besides my one and only winner, is the 2008. We won the championship, the Run What You Brung championship at Milan with my buddy's car, and I was crew chiefing for him at the time, and I wound up winning crew chief of the year, and that's probably one of my favorites. I worked really, really hard for a really long time on that car, and we had a blast. It was so much fun, and the car always seemed to do what we wanted it to do, and I learned a ton from my friend John Powers. He was a huge, huge asset to my program. He let me keep my stuff at his shop for a long time, and he really helped me get my car going. And in fact, we used his truck and trailer when we went to Martin with it for the very first time. So he's been a huge, huge asset to me. And That's my proudest trophy that I've got, that crew chief of the year. And what's funny about it is I didn't know anything about it. We won the championship with the only naturally aspirated car in the whole class, and we did really, really well that season. But I didn't think anything of it, and I had to pee so bad during the awards banquet. And I got up and I went out to the bathroom, and I came back in, and everybody's looking at me like, "You idiot! They just called you on stage, and you weren't here." I didn't even get to accept my trophy until after the banquet was all over, but it's still one of my proudest trophies.
Yeah, it's always nice when, all your hard work pays off.
Oh, yeah.
So now, if you were able to do time traveling, Brandon, and go back in time, would you do anything differently with the drag racing career?
Well, I mean, excuse me, the only thing that I might change is, and I don't know this yet until we start running this blown motor, if it works out as well as I'm hoping that it does, I might go back and tell the past me, hey man, don't mess around with this nitrous stuff. Let's just go right to a blower right off the bat. But then I feel like I'd have been a lot more competitive at this point in my career than I am now. But at the same time, I can't complain at all about what we've got and what we've accomplished with what we've got. I mean, I know a lot of people have done a lot worse, and it just with the program we got and the people we've had helping us and the people that I've raced with, I've learned so much and I've met so many cool people. I don't know that I would change anything about it.
All right. Now, if you and your girlfriend have time to take a vacation, what do you guys have a favorite vacation getaway?
Well, we go to Florida every year. We go down there in November. And we go down to her dad's timeshare, and we always have a great week down there. We've been taking friends with us down there every year, and we always just really have a good time, and it's nice and relaxing. But our two goals for this, let me back up. She's always wanted to go to Las Vegas, and I've been there a million times for work, so to me it's nothing major, but she really wants to go to Vegas, and we're going to accomplish that this year. Actually, my cousin's getting married, so we're going to hop on a plane, and we're going to go out there with them. But our lifelong goal vacation is Tahiti. We really want to go spend like a couple weeks and bounce around between all the islands, Bora Bora and Peru and all the different islands out there. So, of course, that's big bucks, and we want to make sure when we do that we do it right. So we're not going to try to throw it on a credit card and run out there and run up $20,000 in credit card debt just to go on vacation. So we've got a little shoebox that we've been sticking a few $100 here or there or whatever, and by the time we got enough money saved up, we'll probably be ready to retire. But we'll go and we'll have a blast.
All right, now here's an easy question for you. What's your favorite food to eat?
Oh, that's not an easy one.
too many. Huh?
I like just about all foods, but I do love cooking. That's actually, talking about hobbies. That's one of my favorite things to do is cook. So I mean, I really like smoking all different types of meat, and I mean, you name it on the grill. But believe it or not, I would, if I had to pick one, I'd say probably pizza is my favorite of all foods. I love making my own homemade pizzas, and they're phenomenal. So everybody comes over really says they enjoy them, and I believe them because I sure do love them too. I've had some good pizzas out there, but I don't know if I've ever had one as good as one of my good ones.
So is pizza your best dish that you make at home?
That's another tough one. I don't know about my best, but it's top of the list. It's definitely a go-to. You want something good, but I make a hell of a prime rib. I make a really good turkey. Anything that comes off my smoker, off my grill, is usually pretty darn good.
So what is your girlfriend's favorite food that you cook?
I don't know. Hey, Melissa, what's your favorite food that I cook? She loves my fried chicken. I do make really good fried chicken.
All right. Now, what's your favorite beverage?
I'm a big wheat beer guy, so a Hefeweizen beer is my favorite. My favorite, if I had to say I had a favorite, that's it. I do love just about any kind of beer you got, but Hefeweizen beer is my favorite.
Now, what about non-alcoholic?
What's that?
What about non-alcoholic? What's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
I mean, lately, as stupid as this is going to sound, I've been really drinking a ton of water lately.
Water.
I've been drinking. Oh yeah, I come home and the first thing I do is I walk to the freezer and get a bunch of ice cubes and a cold glass of water. It just seems like you almost never feel better when you're hydrated.
Yeah. Now, are you a movie guy? Do you have time to watch movies at all?
In the wintertime, we do. We'll watch a few. We got hooked on Game of Thrones. We got through all that. I think maybe last year. I think we finished up. We got all caught up on those. We're more of a series. We like to watch the series as opposed to a movie. But I'm a big Star Wars guy. I love watching all the Star Wars movies.
So what's your favorite movie of all time?
Star Wars series. Any one of the Star Wars. I mean, of course, A New Hope's probably my favorite, but even the new stuff, I really like the stuff they've done with the Star Wars series.
Isn't a new one coming out this year? The episode 9 or something like that.
Is there another new one coming out? I know the last one was Solo, wasn't it?
Yeah, because a buddy of mine was telling me episode 9's coming out this year.
Okay, yeah, that's possible. I don't know.
So now, what TV shows do you binge watch?
Actually, she always buys me these really good, actually small series. One of the latest ones we've been watching is Letterkenny Problems. That show's funnier than hell. I love it. But we also watch like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just quick funny stuff. The Ranch is a good one.
All right. So, what's your favorite music?
Oh, rock and roll for sure. I mean, I can deal with country, hip hop. Not a big hip hop guy. I mean, there's some stuff that's all right, but to be honest, I'd listen to rock and roll all day, and it could be any kind of rock. It could be, old rock from the Beach Boys all the way up to heavy metal rock. I mean, it doesn't matter. Anything in between.
Now, when you were growing up as a kid, Brandon, did you have a favorite cartoon?
That's a great. I mean, I used to love Bugs Bunny and of course all the old school stuff.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. I'm thinking of what the heck was it? The Roadrunner and the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. That was my favorite right there.
Yep.
Coyote always killed me with those big ass rockets and stuff. He's awesome.
All right. What about a TV show? Did you have a favorite TV show when you were growing up?
I mean, boy, that's a great one. You're making me think about the old days. Favorite TV show. Actually, you know what's funny? I got the TV going in the background, and I just got it muted. It's Home Improvement. I used to love watching that show when I was a kid. I'm actually watching them cruise down the road right now in the old Nomad. That was one of my favorite cars on TV of all time. The old Nomad Tim Allen had. It was beautiful.
Yeah. All right. Now, what's been the most embarrassing moment for you at the track?
This is a good one. A couple years back, I didn't use the proper amount of Gold Bond, we'll call it, and I had a little bit of what you could call a rash, and it was so bad I couldn't walk, and we had to load everything up, and I couldn't move, and I was literally just laying there on the ground, and we got a bunch of friends from the UP, and they come over and they're like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I didn't bring the Gold Bond." And the old man, he comes over, here's a bottle, and take it, and go get yourself fixed up. But man, that was embarrassing. It was so bad I couldn't even walk. It was bad. It hurt for a week after that.
Wow.
So let's just put it this way: when it's 100 degrees outside and you're wearing an SFI 15 suit and you're sitting in a race car, it's not pleasant. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from many drivers talking about how to get to them suits.
Oh, it's miserable. And then, of course, it's always inevitable. You're turning the corner and the car in front of you oils the track down. Oh, don't worry about it. It'll only be a couple minutes. Don't get out of the car. Next thing you know, it's a half an hour later.
Yeah, half an hour, 45 minutes, hour. You never know.
Yeah.
Now, if you weren't drag racing, what do you think you'd be doing?
I don't know. I like to think I'd still be playing hockey every weekend, but I've been having so many problems with my knees and my legs. In fact, 2 years ago, I blew my knee out really bad. It blew the knee out so bad I fell down. I actually had all my crew guys in my shop. We were putting carbon interior in the car, and I blew my knee out and fell down and broke my leg all in the same shot. So that was a 6-month recovery before I could really start doing anything. So that was a really tough year in 2017. But I like to think that I'd still be either playing or coaching hockey. That was one of my passions. I did that for years, and I really enjoyed it, and I miss it. every time I talk to my girlfriend, I tell her I'm going to go out and try and play hockey with the boys tonight. She calls me an idiot. Tells me if I go, don't ever complain about my knees hurting again.
Yeah, getting old sucks, man. Your body starts getting
Oh,
shot, man.
I hate it. And the worst part is that when you stop doing stuff like that, of course, the first thing you do is start gaining weight. Well, you gain weight, and it makes the stuff hurt even worse. So now you're not only out of shape, but you can't get back in shape because everything hurts, and it's just a complete vicious cycle.
Yeah. Yep. Now, what's been the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
I would have to say my first win. That was the first night I ever sprayed my motor. First night we ever really, we ever qualified. I think we were number 2 or number 3 qualifier that night. So it was the first time we were ever top half of the list. I went out there and we just went rounds, and the car was running great. And I kind of had a feeling when we got there, and of course, not having ever sprayed the car, I didn't know what it was going to do. I didn't know how much tuning we were going to have to do. And it just seemed like it all kind of fell into place. We made the first pass, and clutch was a little soft, so we threw some counter on it. And the next pass, it was still a little bit soft, but it went much faster. And the third pass, it was like 435 or 436, and I was just like, okay, well, this is easy. And then we went out and just did that 3 more times and went to the finals and won it. And it was snowing that night, actually, if you can believe that. It was October, and I think it was the second week of October because the first week it got rained out. And it was about 31 degrees outside, and there was some snowflakes coming down. It was like a real heavy, misty, almost like a dew, but it was like snow chunks. It was the weirdest night ever. But we wound up winning. It was a huge night for me.
Yeah, the cold weather sucks at night when you get that dew on your cars. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you got to put towels on your car so you don't get dew, it makes you question, well, what the heck's happening on the drag strip?
Yeah. So now, Brandon, if people that are listening want to find your schedule, what's the best way for them to find a schedule? What you're gonna, where you're racing at and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I've done a really, really crappy job of keeping my Brandon Wakeling Racing Facebook page up to date. But I promise for everybody that I'm going to make sure to do that this year, and I'm going to keep all my schedules and all my plans and even updates on the car. I'll keep everything on there for people to follow. But they can also follow Brandon Wakeling on Facebook, and I usually keep updates on what's going on with the team on there too.
Cool. So now, how important do you think it is for the kids to come out and watch drag racing in this day and age?
It's critical, and I can't stress it enough. And what I really love is getting into this junior stuff. You see the kids going out racing, and Jenna's been really active in taking her car into school for like show and tell and stuff like that. And the kids don't realize. They're like, she says, "Yeah, I race a car," and they're like, "Yeah, whatever." And then she takes it in there, and they see that this is a true blue racing program. It's not a go kart. It's not your buddy's. Your buddy. You heard that your buddy's got a car. It's like, no, your classmate actually competitively races against other kids all anywhere, all across the country. So this is a very serious deal, and when the kids see that, I think it really opens their eyes up. And if they come out to the track and witness it firsthand, it's a huge eye opener. And I think without that, you're never going to keep this sport growing. We've gotten really lucky with this whole street racing thing that's been going on TV and all this crap that's been really publicized. But I think that it's actually made our type of racing stronger. The heads up, the pro mod style, the drag radial style, even the no time stuff has really, really gotten popular. And you've seen cars go from back when I was getting into it, they were back half homemade cars, and now these things are $250,000 pro mod cars, and you look at the owners, and they're in their mid-30s, and they're kids in all essence, and without the exposure that they might have gotten, and of course a lot of these people have been involved with this for years, but some of the younger people are getting more and more and more into it, and I really like seeing that. So without the kids coming out and seeing the stuff, I don't think that they don't even know what they're missing because they've never been exposed to it. So I think we got to keep our kids involved.
So do you get a lot of kids coming in the pit area when you're at the track?
It's actually one of myself and one of my team's favorite things is when the kids come around. You know, we'll throw them in the car and take pictures, and if we've got to warm it up, I'll start it up with them in there so they can put earmuffs on them and let them fire it up, and they love it. And and I think every time I see that, I think of back when I was 8 years old and I got to meet Ricky Smith. And I was like, this guy, this is the coolest dude on the planet here, man. So I mean, these little kids come up and ask for autographs and stuff, and I can't get more excited when that happens. I love it.
Man, of course, your car is like, stands out from a lot of the other pro mods being a Willie,
Yeah. The kids really like it because it's different, and I think that's an important part of if you want to really stand out in the crowd. I guess you got to have something different. For a long time, it was like 68, 69 Camaro, whatever, was the thing that everybody would buy to run Pro Mod with, and they all looked the same. You had a black or a red 68 Camaro, and well, there's like 6 of them, which one is yours type of deal. But, when you got something unique, I think it really helps bring attention to it, and the kids like it more, and I think it really helps out promoting the sport, and not only the sport, but your own team.
Yeah. Now, do you have any final words or thank yous you want to do?
Well, of course, I want to thank all my sponsors. Without those guys, we would never be racing. It would be impossible for us to compete where we're at without those guys. And, of course, all my crew guys, I mentioned all their names. They're huge help. And without those guys, not only could I not do it, but I wouldn't want to. When we go to the track, we'll see some of these other teams. They're not having the best time, and they're kind of maybe at each other's throat or whatever. I just look at our guys, and we're more like a family than friends. It's really a blessing having the guys that I've got around me. So I thank them all the time, but you can't thank them enough, I guess, is my point. Right. And then, of course, we're always looking for partners. We're looking for marketing partners and possible team partners. If anybody's interested, by all means, they can get a hold of me on Facebook, and I'd love to talk to them. And if we can help promote their business, or if they want to just come out and learn something about racing pro mod and want to get involved, we're all ears, and I'd love to talk with them.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you very much for taking time to do an interview, Brandon.
Well, no, this is my first time doing this, man. I can't thank you enough, man. This is great. No. I don't know how many people are listening, and I don't know if you record these things or what. But,
it's live and it's recorded. It's on the Spreaker site, and it goes straight to not Facebook, YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So it's recorded twice.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you inviting me on this thing. Again, it's my first time ever being interviewed like this, and I really I think it's a great platform to get up and give some thanks and get the word out about what we're doing, and I really thank you a lot for asking me.
No problem. We'll do another one in the future and see how you're doing with the blower when you get that thing going.
That would be awesome.
So I wish you the best of luck getting that blower car ready for the season.
I appreciate it, man. We'll talk with you soon.
All right, you have a good night, Brandon.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.